Hello and welcome to Matt's Rocks. Today I'm going to work on this little piece of quartz. Several pieces of quartz actually. There's grew together. I got this from my aunt from Phoenix when she came over up to Champaign for a family reunion. And I figured I'd see what I could do with it. It's got some clear spots in it, but it's down here is mostly real cloudy. The other piece, this is just a piece I cut off of it. I wanted to see how good it would cut. I know it had been slabbed already, so it was a pretty good sized chunk of quartz if they could slab it. So let's get started. Let me zoom you in on these first set of wheels and we'll start there. I'm probably going to start it on a 220 rather than the 80 grit. There we go. Okay, let's get started here. I don't know what I'm going to make out of it, what shape I'm going to make out of it. I may just leave it in the shape it's in and round it off the edges. I'm not sure about this chip here, whether it's going to stay on. So it's got quite a bit of air gap in there. I've got a few other places that's got air gap in them, but maybe it won't affect anything. This one here, when I round it off a little. But I'm liable to lose this one first time I touch the wheel with it. Let's find out. Yep. Cool. Thought it was going to. So that's going to change my shape a little bit. Kind of a shame to lose that clear quartz, but I don't really care for quartz much anyway, but that's only because it's hard to polish, especially if it's got cleavage planes in it and all that stuff, because of if there's an air gap in them, they'll fracture on the edges, and the quartz that comes out of that fracture will also scratch the surface of your face or wherever the quartz came out of, and you just end up keeping chasing scratches all the time you're working on it. Like I got some quartz chipping off on this edge too. Kind of bouncing on the wheel. I don't have enough water on for one, but yeah, I got a lot of fracture edges there. Or gaps in between crystals, I should say. Healed gaps, but gaps nonetheless. Okay, I think I know what shape I'm going to take on this. Get this edge rounded off a little bit more. Give you my angle. Sorry to be covering it up, but I'm trying not to splash myself in the face with this water. So I have to turn it up a little bit to keep it from being so soupy. I wanted to clear off all the soup on the stone first before I turned it back down. Chip it out of there. That's alright though, I just need to stop putting so much pressure on it. Taking that part of the rock off anyway. Hard to keep enough liquid on there without getting a face full of soup or water. Same difference. Too much rock dust in it. Back here, you. Get out of the soup. Look, I got the measles on me. They've been bleached. Stop it. At least that one didn't land in the soup. Dry it, but I wanted to clean it off. let's wipe this, clean this off, see what we got. I think I want to take it to the flat lap, because I think I want to keep that face, the faces of it flat. I think I'll get better reflection in the light, make it a more sparkly stone. Let's dry it off and see what we got. And I'm going to have a hard time keeping my bevel lines on the outside edges of it the same distance in from the edge and the same angle. I think I'm going to round them rather than leave them at an angle. So that way, whenever I'm taking off the, whenever I'm doing the faces, I will end up making my angles and corners, edges flat again, where it looks like it's almost faceted, except that it's not quite. I think this face I'm going to do on 100 grit. Maybe not. I'll go 220 on it too. I've got a few places I'm still worried about. So there's a few little places here that looks like there's chips out of the face, or inclusions, or I don't know what they are. And I've got some on my edges too that are cleavage planes, internal cleavage marks that have air gaps in them. Especially up here on this end, because it's got more fractures in it. There's more of an air gap in between the fractures. You can see the white lines on them. So I'm going to go ahead and do this face with the flat lap real quick and see if I can get it like I want it. And if I can, then I'll see if I can work the rest of the stone on there. I'll almost have to in order to get the right, in order to keep that ledge that I want around that. You can see it in the dark, that it's a little darker along the face, but you can see the lines coming down on either side of it where the bevel starts to go over, and then around the bottom, because it's going to sit this way. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that chip came off like it did, but I'm hoping I don't lose this whole side right here where this fracture line's at, because it does go all the way through. Okay, let me change these, move this camera around. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let me go ahead and get this running here. Head start there. There were kerf marks in this from the saw when they slabbed it, so. get those out. That's basically the only reason why I'm using this steel wheel or steel disc at all, is to get those kerf marks out. I probably didn't need it. This is a 270 grit also, not a 220. That man messed up my little edge line that I was trying to get. Well, I'll never know though. Now it's getting cloudy enough that, or getting just like the rest of it, you can't see any. It's just white and dull, except for where the kerf marks are still at, or the cut marks. I'll take a little more of that just to get through those. There's a few little chips out of there. 3 or 4 little chips out of it. Might not be able to get those out either. Try a little harder on the next wheel because it's a soft wheel. I think it's a 280 also, so it's only 10. $325. This one here, I'm keeping it, trying to keep this drone a little drier so I can keep a hold of it. And it's rough enough that I think I can, too, on the edges. Trough down the center of it where the saw blade curved a little bit when they were slabbing it. Might have slabbed it by hand. So if you're slabbing by hand, you've got a tendency every once in a while to twist it stone this way, and so it kind of curves your blade a little bit, and it'll gouge out one side or the other, depending on which way you turn it. I need to get that out before I can start on the next one, because I ain't going to be able to cut enough away to get it out of there. It's still that wide. Too far in from the edge right here on this corner. Instead of coming out right here, it comes out and goes up this way. And it's, oh no, that's just a slight touch. This next wheel will probably take that out of there. That's why it was almost squirting. I just took my white cerium oxide pad off of here too from the last, from that glass piece of glass that I just did earlier today. And I meant to look at the bottom of it and see if it had something stuck to it, chunk or something, because it's got a place that this isn't the same one, but figured while I was looking, or while I was thinking about it, I'd check this one. I like this flat lap a lot better than any of the other ones I've had. This is the third one. I've still got the other one, but or one of the other ones. The first one I bought was a Chinese. It was made good. Had a cast table or cast stand that the flat lap was on. It was only a 6-inch flat lap, so it was just way too small. But it had a hex nut, 3/4 inch hex nut in the center of it, holding the pads down, and that was bad. I was making cabs out of 3 pieces of a Brazilian agate, egg-shaped agate that I cut. Was on the 3rd cab, had it almost polished. My tip of my finger hit the edge of that dang nut, and it felt like somebody jabbed a nail underneath my fingernails. And when I yanked my hand back, the stone came out of my hand and landed flat on the concrete floor in the garage. That was before I put my shop in, but and it rusted into 3 pieces, and I already had them earmarked for my cousins, my 2 cousins, and their mom, my aunt. Only 3 girls, the 3 girls left in that part of the family, and so I was kind of disappointed. I did have the 2 heels, but they weren't going to make an egg-shaped cab out of, and it was Brazilian agate, black. It was a black agate with clear. Had a quartz pocket in the center of it. Pretty agates. I threw those 3 pieces in the tumbler and just went on ahead and tumbled them. And then I got to thinking later on, after I sprung it on my aunt, that I was going to give them to her. And she said she'd bring me some rocks, meet me at the reunion in Champaign here in Illinois. And but when I was talking to her on the phone, or before the reunion, I got to thinking that maybe she was doing wire wrapping at one time, and I didn't figure I was going to get into wire wrapping very seriously ever, because I just don't have the my hands have a little bit of a palsy to them, so they shake too much. They're not steady enough anymore. Not as steady as they used to be. And holding that wire and holding 2 wires together and trying to wrap a 3rd one around it just wasn't working. Of course, I didn't have the right type of stuff to do it with, like a vise to hold the wires instead of my fingers. But I decided I could do silversmithing a bit easier, but then I still need equipment for that, so I haven't started any of that yet either. If I even do, I may not. What scritching is that's making? I'm thinking of cutting them rounding off the bottoms of those crystals or tops of those crystals, whichever part of it is causing it to chip along the fractures. Come back out here where I can see you. I had it back there so that I wasn't blinding you guys. And I was having to lean too far forward. Flakes out of the topmost part of the rounded side. I think there's chips that I didn't get off before completely. Well, I think they are. Although it may have been chips that popped out afterwards, but I don't know one way or the other, but they're out of there now. And now I can go to the next wheel. I've still got some little fractures here that's got dents in them. I didn't get my edges rolled around good enough on the... I still had to round them off, I guess. Getting right to them without being able to see them is trying to get to that flat spot that I was going to try to leave. Guess I just won't worry about it too much. Okay. I've slug enough water out of that one now. Go to the next one. I may finish this last one, the 3000. I may do it on the cabin machine, just because I think it'll be easier to, because I got a feeling it's going to be hard to keep a hold of. On that one. More grit touching the wheel or touching the stone. I probably will have to take this to aluminum oxide too. I don't know. Gosh darn it, I hate that mist that comes off of there. Makes it hard to see what I'm looking at. Covers the stone and I don't see nothing anymore. Let's do the outside edges first. This time, that way when I do cut my edges, I can be positive they're going to be leaving straight lines. About whether they're all the same distance back from the edge of the stone anymore. Like I tried the first time when I was shaping it. Because I don't think it's going to work too good that way. Not being able to see that edge ever. Not even on the cabin, not even on the other cabin wheels. If I can get it all shiny, I don't think it'll make any difference on that because it's not a bad looking stone. I like quartz. I like the looks of quartz. I just don't like working with quartz. This one hasn't been as bad as some of the other stuff. The other stuff is all smaller crystals. That's a pretty good sized crystal compared to. So that's one crystal, and that's one crystal, and that's bigger than any of the crystals I've worked so far. And they were attached to agates, Missouri agates, that's why they didn't. That's part of the reason why I didn't like them. I was polishing it more for the agate than the crystal. And the tops of the points on the crystals were all broke off. Anyway, when it was dug out, I didn't dig it out, but bought it off the pile he had in front of the Haunted Ridge, on the front of his house there, Haunted Ridge rocks that he sells, in case you don't find enough. Charges the same price as what he charged you for the ones that you dig yourself. $25 a 5-gallon bucket. I bought some samples also that I paid $35 for like 4 or 5 pieces. But they had crystals that weren't as mistreated. And they were kind of a champagne, or kind of a carnelian color. They were smoky quartz and they were kind of an orange color crystal tips. But it also had agate underneath it, on the bottom side of it. Agate on the and rhyolite underneath that. And they were part of it was part of a seam or a gap space. Anyway, crystals grew up. Now I don't know if any crystals grew down from the top. I don't know. But it's not like stalactites. They don't grow down. Stalactites and stalagmites. They don't. One goes down from the top. One goes down up from the bottom. But I don't actually know how crystals form. Whether they can grow downward like that, I don't know. I don't know how they grow, but there was an opening above them when they grew. So I'd say it was some kind of a void anyway. May not have been a seam, but a void. What did I just that? A flat spot on my edge. flat spot. Darn it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it out of there. More tilted towards, it's more tilted this way because it's on this edge down here at the bottom, but it's more tilted this way, higher, so it drops down lower here on this end than it does on this end, and then it comes clear out to here in a teardrop shape. I figured it out. I went back to the 600 on the cab machine because it's that rounded edge, so it didn't have to be flat. And that got it off of there real quick. Now I just got to do polish it back up. Of course, it wasn't polished to begin with because it was a flat spot. Hell, darn it. Trying to wipe it off with the dry finger, and the dry finger wasn't dry. It was wetter than the stone was to begin with. He's getting harder to hold now. Starting to get a better shine on it. Them edges just didn't want to shine up for some reason so far. But I've still got a whole nother disc to go. Do my edges on the 3000 over there, and then come back here for the face on the 3000. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be yelling. I can't hear what you're hearing yet. I'll just have to remember when I edit everything to yeah, I've got some spots here on this that's, I won't be able to show them to you, but it's like little individual flat spots, like the polka dot things I was showing you on the faces in one of my previous videos. Like when you're doing the face, because you're working it this way and this way, and your wheel's this wide, but there may only be that much of it touching the stone because you've got it faced this way and this way, so it's domed both directions. Sometimes you skip, and when you skip you leave one of those little flat spots. That's where you get those. And this, I'm doing it on this stone here, on this wheel here. These rounded areas is keeping those in there, so I can't really get them out. So I'm going to go back over here on the other machine. That'll get my edges shining. And then when I go back to that flat lap and do the 3000 and the cerium oxide or aluminum oxide on that, that'll get the rest of that'll get my lines back on the edges of my faces, my flat faces. See the edge of these, see the little cleavage planes in there. I'm seeing the edge of them when I'm on this tip. It makes it look like there's a chip out of it. It's like a busted marble if you've ever seen marbles. If you're old enough to know what a marble is, glass marbles you used to play marbles with, the big ones, and then the smaller ones you need to draw a circle and use the big ones to knock the little ones out of the circle. If you knock one out, you get to keep it, so you're putting your marbles up against everybody else's marbles. Okay, that's going to take some more doing. Just stretching it. That are just getting scratches out that I didn't get out. Trying to use those. Flat lap. They're looking a lot clearer now. You can see through them better. That's how you can tell it's getting more polished, because you can see through it, because it's on the clear agate or clear quartz. Still got those weird. Got back here to the 1200. Get those weird flat spots out. My rounded part here. That's the only place I've got them. I did have some long ones from running it this way on the flat lap, holding it on edge and running it. The wheels turning this way, and I was turning the stone the same direction. I should have turned it this way. I should have took it all the way to a polish on these wheels when I shaped it, and then came back through with the flat lap just to do the faces. I'm sure I would have messed up one of the edges somehow though. Picking it up and having it fall out of your fingers while you're picking it up and dropping it back down on the plate will do the same. We'll do that too. Mess up your edges. Let's see what I got. See if I got all the flat spots out. They're a lot easier to see. Definitely a lot easier to see when you don't have water splashing on them. I know, I missed a side. And I spoke too soon about not having any splashes on my rock. $3,000 grit for the face, and then aluminum oxide for final polish, and this duty will be done. So what I'm going to do now is go to the cerium oxide, or to the aluminum oxide, and polish it with the aluminum oxide, because that 3000 is just not doing it. It's smooth, it's nice and smooth, but it's cloudy looking. That's just shut off. So let's see what this will do to it. I think this will take it right down to where it needs to be. Because the edges, the edges are even shinier than the face is. Do my edges on this first, though. Well, let me try to do my edges on this first. Fingertips. We're not doing any green rocks. It was just a green reflection off the housing. And now I don't know which edge I was doing. Story of my life. Constantly dropping crap. Now you see why I don't think I want a wire wrap. At least with the metal smithing, you can set it on a table and do it that way. Use tongs and pliers, 2 hands. Okay, that's working. I did the when I dropped it and had to hold it against the plate on the face till I could get a hold of it again. It did. It took a lot of that cloudiness out of it, so that's going to work. I'm ready to do the faces now. I better wet this down again or I'm going to end up having it, dunking it back into the sand pit. Let's see what I got now. This may not take very long. Yep. I've got, hold it a little lighter, turn it a little more. I've got a few little chips of quartz that are popping out, leaving scratches in it. Or that, or I've got a contaminant on this pad. This is the pad I was going to check the bottom of to see if I had a chunk stuck in the bottom of the magnet, but I don't think the hump in the pad is, and it's out right in here somewhere. I don't think the chunk in the pad's big enough to be a chunk underneath the magnet. It has to be something inside the pad, like a sliver or a place where they knotted the fibers even. Yeah, I've got quite a few little vugs on this face. Still got some scratches. I'm going to leave the bugs in it, or the chips out of it. I can use it as the back. Face looks perfect. But I don't want to do any more with it. Might have to though. Doesn't look like I'm getting that scratch out of the back. Quite a bit of scratches in the back. There's even chips out of this side. And scratches. What? Those may not be scratches. Those may be fracture lines, because that's on that side that's all fractured up. Rough edge there, a dull edge. Right at the edge of my flat face, where I didn't wrap around far enough. pick the dang stone up and get to that edge. It's too much of an angle to hold the tip and try to hold it like this. But I'm going to have to try. It's not coming out. May not be the right wheel to do that on either. Not. Let me go back over here real quick. Hit it with this 3000 over here. Okay, that got that. Now let me polish it the rest of the way. That was the 3000, but this is micron size. Go ahead and get that face again. Try to get my fracture lines out of it a little better. I can get them out, but I'd have to take it back to a, oh, I don't know, 325. And I don't want to do that. It's not going to get much out of this little stone anyway. And nobody's going to really care. It is quartz. So that might be a good thing as far as getting a better price out of it, but I don't think I'm going to get much out of it anyway. Fracture lines running across that area that was gouged earlier. Get some of them out. Close enough. Okay, let me get my fingers dry. Shut this noisy thing off. Okay. There it is. You can see the scratches on the face of it and the chips out of it that are air pockets. That's what they are. There's more of them underneath it, so if the more I grind, the more they would pop out. So I'd be replacing some with others. This is the side that's got the most. But it's good and shiny. The edges are okie dokie. Nice little bobble. Well, that's it for that one, and that's gonna make me call it a day. I'm worried about this little chip on this edge of it though. You can see the white underneath it right in here. I'm hoping that don't pop out later on. If it does, it ain't a big deal. Whoever gets it, I'm sure they're not going to try to drill it. That wouldn't be a very good idea, not as fractured up as it is already. And I don't have a good way to stabilize it, so I won't be doing that either yet until I figure out a better way to stabilize it. I need to get me a vacuum chamber is what I need to do. That way I can just use super glue and let it suck it into the cracks rather than trying to soak it in just from having the stone soaking in the liquid acetone and epoxy. So, well, thanks for watching. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, I'll keep trying to put them out. Like, subscribe, and share, and leave comment, good or bad, it doesn't matter. Thank you much, and have a good day.